Carl, good to
Yes,
have you on the show, and
good to be here.
and everyone that's going to be watching this. Carl is he has this big bright smile, so it's good to see this. And we were talking before the show. Everybody has good days and bad days, and this is a good day, but a bad day for all my technical stuff. I think we all have it where like you just wake up and somehow like your computers all decide to reset, your internet reset. So, but I see that like again that big smile, and I'm like, today's going to be a good day. So, Carl, thanks for being on
Excellent.
the show, my man.
I appreciate it. It's good to be here. Thanks, Darren. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, when we have guests on our show, we always want to start with the person and how did that person get out of bed. Now, once we're fully vaccinated and we're going out, I'll probably ask it a different way because it'll be like everyone was so drunk and bombed. How'd you get out of bed? Because you just have hangovers.
That's right.
But pre-COVID, it's just literally how'd you get out of bed? I mean, think about there's remote work, there's no sports, there's nothing on TV except the news, which we want to stay away from in so many ways. So just thanks for being on the show and tell us, how the heck did you survive last year?
That's such an interesting question. I really forced myself to reflect and work on personal development. That's what really got me up. It was continuously thinking, how am I going to improve myself today? I've got the time. I can't ignore it any longer and hide behind my luxury of pastimes that I love. But it was really taking the opportunity to say, what can I do to improve myself today? And that's what really got me through last year. It's continuously getting me through, and it's been really effective.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot, and I want to kind of dig in on that because I keep saying it, and people have heard it. Like, I'm living my best self in this pandemic. Can I dig into what you did to upskill yourself? We talk about reflection. Did you meditate? Did you journal? Did you get back into music, sports, cooking? Like, what were the things that you can share that really helped you work on yourself?
Absolutely. So I did a lot of reading.
Oh,
It
okay.
sounds simple, but
Uh-huh.
reading was the one thing. I actually said to myself, I'm going to dive into the things within my realm, within my profession, my technical career,
Okay.
and make myself even better. So I dove in. I stood up a lab. I started to experiment more. I just tried things I normally would not have tried, partially because I just didn't have the time. Now with the time, I said, you know what, I'm going to build something. And that was really comforting, that the idea that I'm going to read and that I'm going to take what I read, learn it, and then actually apply it by building something. Now, of course, that thing didn't really, it was just something that I personally wanted to take advantage of, but I started building things within my realm of technology that enabled me to say, hey, I've learned something that I didn't know before. And so it really helped. It really was therapeutic for me.
It's so great to hear that. I'm looking at both my screens, so I just want to let everybody in the audience know I am paying attention. But again, my eye contact is not there, but I got these multi-screens. And when you say about reading, and I was thinking about that, I love that people have taken this time to work on themselves. And what you said doesn't cost massive amount of money, right? You can audiobook, you could be a subscription book, you can read, but the people that did not use these past X months to upskill something, that's tragic. We have the luxury of this time, and everybody had this time. So there is no, I don't know what you're going through. You don't understand what I'm going through. No, we all were told to work from home. We all were told to like be home, be with family, stay safe. I love that you went back to reading. Was it audio or was it actual reading, like paper?
No, it was a mixture. It was podcasts such as what you have. It was reading. It was just content in general. I wanted to consume as much content as possible. That includes some movies, right? So I was also streaming. I do participate in the streaming wars, but it was really, how can I consume as much content as possible? I wanted to quickly acquire as much knowledge as I could in this short time frame, because I know I may not get this opportunity to do it again. So yeah, that was really my goal.
For me, I was consuming audio. I would tell you, the reading I did was web reading articles, but I did not do any paperback reading. and I don't miss it. I mean, I did, when I look back on it, I didn't add. Sometimes I look at books, and I've done a lot of travel. Sometimes people talk about books, and when they move with their books because there's this attachment to it. I kind of, I don't want, the books still are great to read, and then I don't travel with them. Do you travel with books? I see you've got this great bookshelf in behind you. I mean, are you also like, what book? I can't get rid of this book. Or are you like,
Absolutely. So I something about the paper, flipping the pages. That sounds weird, but something about flipping pages, going through
Mm,
pages and going back to see sections that I don't remember. I need to read it
right.
again. So that really was, it's some sort of therapy for me. So I do travel at least with one book. I'm a fan of, if it's not a technical journal, which I do, I am
Great.
guilty of reading technical journals, but I do
Great.
read a few fiction items.
That's great.
Fan of that as well.
If it's not on my iPad or phone, it's not carrying it with me. That's great. Um, I
Swiping
want,
just doesn't feel the same as turning the page for some reason.
and for me, it's the marking, it's the turning of the page. There's all these stuff that I've not perfected on an audio. I know you could take notes,
Mhm.
but you're right. I think for me, um, the writing for me during COVID that helped me is just writing in the morning and getting back into journaling, and that was helpful for me. Is spending more time for mental health, for
Absolutely.
reflecting on me. And I'm so now into this critical thinking time, which is every morning for me. Like most people, I get up early, right? And
Mhm.
I used to say, you can get on my calendar anytime you want. Now my first meeting is 8:30
Mhm.
is my first meeting. I don't know if you could say it's late or early, but I need to go through this morning routine of whether it be quiet time, meditation, reflective time, journaling. And I had a team call today, and we needed to change a meeting. And one of the teammates is in a different time zone, and that person was like, I could do it, but that time is now going to be 7 a.m. my time. And like, I really would take the call, but it's really important that I do my meditation. And I'm like,
Mhm.
we're not having that meeting at that time. Like, I know how important that is to me. Right. So again, it's a long rant to say, like, are you guarding your time now differently? Have you been to a place where you're not available all the time? I need the me time. Like, as a senior leader, people want to get on your calendar and you want to be
Mhm.
thoughtful, but what is the time where you're like, no, like, this is the me time?
Absolutely. I am much more stingy about my time. In fact, I advertise that to my team and say, hey, listen, you need to be cognizant of people's me times. And so I follow a very strict time frame. I'm usually up early. So from that 6 a.m. to 7:30, it's me time. I don't expect me to answer anything. It's me plugged into either the book I want to read or that time that I use to reflect and improve. But yeah, absolutely. And you have to be. And I wasn't always like that. I generally would say, hey, I'm around, so let me jump on the call. But it has been an amazing process for me in terms of growth, being able to say, nope, these are the times that I need to reflect. And so I'm not even going to look at any device or email during that time. And everyone knows, everyone around me knows that. And so they respect that boundary and allow me to have that time.
I want to keep going there because I got to the same place where you are, and COVID just forced that as maybe a forcing function. We've read about CEOs talking about this. This is not a new theory. This is not
Mhm.
something you and I discovered. How many times have we heard Reid Hoffman, Jeff Bezos, or someone saying, I got quality blockout time?
Mhm.
And it's something, it's so refreshing to talk about this. Like, I get you. There's an art of being able to write an email without looking at your inbox. Tell me how you do it, because there is an art, because you have to just go into create email versus read. Like, how are you? Because what you said, I get you. You create the email, but you're not looking at emails because it
That's right.
distracts you. How are you doing it? Just a little hack. That was how you do it. Because there's a lot there. You're doing your reflective time and not getting pulled into Slack channels or other channels. Like, how are you doing it?
Absolutely. So I even set my communication devices in all of the social media that I use. I don't use a lot. I'll be fair, I don't use a lot, but I do set them to where they don't, they're quiet. So I leverage the quiet times. And then when I am able to launch into my emails, I try to tell or inform, and what everyone that really knows me knows, you have to be short with Carlton. You have to be very short. Preferably, if you could fit everything in the subject line, that would be even better. But if you really want me to pay attention to it, you have these certain keywords, not the urgency, see, but certain keywords that'll get my attention quickly. And I live around those tags. So tagging these keywords in the subject of an email, creating the email, understanding that I'm going to start not at the very bottom as most people do, but I try to pick up at the highest thread and work my way down is something that a little hack that I've been doing that's been successful for me.
One of the things I love about this podcast is I feel I'm an outlier. And then I talk to you and I'm like, I'm just one of the many. I get you.
That's right.
Isn't it crazy?
And it's odd.
I think I'm not exactly there,
crazy.
but
Since we're
I
data
get
professionals, you would think.
Right. And so everyone's like, oh, and like to me, I'm tracking everything. So now one of the things that we want to talk about is like AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot to AI, and it's such a broad conversation and all of these things. But I would love how Google auto corrects and fills in my sentences. Wouldn't it be great if I reported into you, Google knew your keys, and as I'm starting to write a sentence, it just completes it in a different way?
That's right. That would be great. That's what we need. Let's do that. That's
right.
What we
So
need.
Instead of knowing how you think I should write the sentence, why don't you think about how the person I report into would want to see it? I'd be like, no, like start with your KPI. Like that's all they care about. All this other shit of why you missed it, they're not going to read.
They don't care. Right. They'll give me I don't need a 2 pages of context or history. I don't need that. I just need what you want me to do, what's important.
That's what I want on the AI. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, where it says like tab and it finishes the sentence. But I mean, I want it to be tagged just to like how Carl wants to read the information. Like, no.
That's right. Rearrange it so that I get the important stuff out quickly, learn my behavior. And that way it should be a fairly easy AI program, you would think.
How great would that be? Just a different, and it's all doable. I mean, for me on this AI part, we have similar traits. So I use Calendly, and I have a calendar as well. And my team knows that no agenda means it will be canceled off my day.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
I want to be present. I want to be prepared for your meeting. So I'm not asking you because I don't value your time. I almost feel like you don't value my time because I want to make sure I'm sitting in a meeting and helping make a decision, help a decision. Why am I here? Right. I get a lot of meetings. So that's the training. So on my meetings, there's a calendar, and to your point, it's not AI, but it's behavioral. Like everyone sees me, like they know, like I'm up early, I'm like canceled, no agenda, canceled. Eventually agendas follow. So it's kind of like the AI to your email. It's like to our AI, how do we build the AI so everyone's just like, I don't want to cancel the emails. I wish the machine or something is like we don't see the word agenda and this following, so it's canceled.
That's exactly right. In fact, the key phrase that I use most often is, what is the ask? If you want me to be there, what is the ask? What's going to be the ask of you to me? And then put that at the very beginning. So that could be used to learn people, but that it will certainly help respond faster.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm not just yesing you. I mean, there's so many emails I've written. I'm like, here's the goal of the meeting. Here's the ask. Here's the goal. I mean, we need to, it's like salesperson. Like we need to know the ask. You can always say no, but I think, when I look at, these tools for AI and building it, there are so many use cases for it that I'm embracing. Right. Mm-hmm. So, and just love to hear, pick this thread up anywhere you want. It's, how are you seeing it? How are you seeing transformation? How are you staffing for it? I mean, go anywhere you want to go with this thread.
Yeah, no. So I see I see a lot of movement, I should say, from the massive investments in the technology, like the algorithms, the mathematics behind all of what I see around AI, back to what we've always known was going to be the most important, and that is data. So there's a huge shift from, hey, the math was actually a little easier than we thought it would be. It's math. But what's gotten to be much more complex is this notion of interoperating data, even though that's a very old term. But the way we need to do that now, because our systems are so complex and we're putting so many things, embedding so many things into physical things, that it's become so much of an interest, much more complex, much more required, much more thought behind this notion of data engineering. engineering. So that's what I see the shift is moving away, back away from the statistics and the math and more into, creating this art around, data engineering. And that's really fun. And it's been really interesting to see all the innovation coming out of that space.
There's always been innovation. There's always been the trend. AI, digital transformation. I don't know. On this rant, I don't know. I'm all in on it. Don't misread that. And I'm not poking at it. I'm just saying, you and I as adults, if I hear one more freaking thing about digital transformation, I am going to jump off a building.
It's a cool buzzword. It's a very popular one.
I get it. You and I, when I hear it, I'm like, cue eye roll. Like,
that's right.
It's like we have a little bit of gray in our beard, like we've seen it, like the internet transformation. I don't know. I think for me, what you hit struck a chord with me is how young the talent can be to get you there. Like you said, you spent over 9 months reading and upskilling and building teams. High school kids are doing that. Like, it is insane.
That's right.
It is insane who is driving this. I mean, it's a laptop, an internet connection, and it's ageless. It needs to be sexless, but now it's ageless. I mean, what are you seeing in your community, in your town, in your like, it's amazing to see who's leading this. The TikTok nation.
Yeah, it's amazing. I see in my area, it's the collaboration and the content sort of management. It's the understanding that content is data, but within that content, I can be as creative as I want to make that content interesting. And I understand technology well enough to know how to distribute that. And I can create applications off of that, new technology that's been really cool. So in my area, I see a lot of innovation, collaborative thinking, group thinking around, hey, let's take what we do so well in terms of the speed in which we communicate content, share content, to turn that around and to make it solve business problems. And I think that that's been a really, really interesting dynamic, especially when you think about the fact that they're using some of the principles and the foundation that we've established years ago. They're just simply applying it in a different way. And that to me is very interesting.
And I think I want to pick up that bubble. They're applying it, they're collaborating with it, and it's now amplified faster than ever, right? Because it's you and your team, then it's you and your team, then it's on YouTube, then it's maybe somewhere. Like, it's you, your team, it's Kaggle, then it's somewhere. It's you, your team, Medium post, you, your team, TikTok. I mean, non-confidential stuff, but it's amazing the virality that things are moving, how we're learning about new tools. It's not this secretive handshake anymore. I mean, it's not just Google. Google is a driver to where to find information, but it's really interesting, the amplification of good talent and good tooling. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the big companies are helping too. So Google's making it easier, right? So this notion that I don't need to start from scratch like we did before when we were trying to mine data. I can get assistance and I can get help from all of these other services that are available to me at the drop, right? I can just log on and quickly stand up a service that's going to help me solve a problem, within about 5 minutes is beautiful.
And the reason, maybe subconsciously, why I'm bringing this up is behind Carl is a beautiful bookshelf. And on that bookshelf, to all of my fellow road warriors, hundreds of lanyards. This dude has seen his way through shows. So the reason why I bring this up is walking the trade floor sometimes would be the way or seeing who's doing breakout sessions. Now we're in a world where we have Zoom fatigue, and I'm looking at the background, and you're right, Googling and the other part, you're still finding partner solutions, but I could see he probably just is running out of pens and tote bags. I think maybe.
That's right. Thousands of notes, and there's thousands of ideas, and that makes it hard. I mean, I'm privileged to be at Gartner, where we get a lot of opportunity to dive in some of the more interesting technology that's emerged and evaluate them. But there's so many, and there's so many that emerge quickly that it's a fun ride. Put it that way. It's a roller coaster ride.
I know. And you're right. I mean, you're also at a great brand. When you walk the floor, they're like, come here. There's a lot of that things. Now, you comfortable getting back on the road, or is it a 2022 task? Or, I'm looking at all these lanyards. That means my man is a road traveler like myself.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to it. To be honest with you, I enjoyed the time to reflect. I'm over it now. I'm ready to get back out there. My excitement for technology, my excitement for the organization to share our research and help organizations do what they need to do to be successful is what I'm looking forward to. And that if that means back on the road, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, same. I'm vaccinated 2 shots and Pfizer.
Excellent.
And I talk about this before on the show. I felt a little bit like Superman, more Clark Kent. I got the glasses, where there's a part of Clark Kent where he pulls down his tie a little bit and opens up 2 buttons. That's when I got the second shirt. I didn't take it off, but I just kind of felt like, like, wow, like I can't fly, but I feel it was an emotional day. But you're right. For me, June is where I've always circled. I'm feeling comfortable to get on a plane. I'm feeling comfortable to be 10 people at a restaurant, not at a trade show, not at a concert. That's just me. That's my comfort level. But I feel that this is I don't want it to be a loaded question, but just like, where is that comfort for you? Are you at, I'm ready to go to the U2 concert, or are you just ready to go for dinner? I just curious. I'm alone. Like, where's COVID here? Like, where are you in this continuum?
Well, similar to you, I am a crawl before you walk type of person. So gradual. I'm confident and I'm happy that we're opening up, but slowly. Let's do this. Let's crawl before we walk. So in fact, I will probably have a mask for a very long time, even if I'm not wearing it, but I'm going to have it at my disposal because it's become a pacifier to me now. I just feel like if I want to use it, if it's too crowded, I can put it on, I can take it off. And so, I'm partially vaccinated. I'm waiting on my second shot here in June, but yes, I want to slowly get back together. So no YouTube concerts yet, even though I'm a huge YouTube fan. But I am hoping that, well, maybe if I have a private section, right? But I'm hoping to that'll gradually develop over the next.
I knew a Justin Bieber concert wouldn't get you out, so I figured you too, or like I don't know if you're running to Bieber, but So then my final question is, and I want to kind of just touch on advice here. And we talk so much about mentoring, but there's also mentoring and diversity and inner city youth, income equality. You're here at this incredible brand. Share with us advice for this next generation, and take that thread wherever you want. But I think there's a meaningful things that probably you can share, and we just want to use this as also a way to amplify it.
Absolutely. So 2 things. One is the notion of participating in labs. So labs, especially where I am, we're very privileged to have labs where we take younger or recently graduated students and allow them to perform in our environment and learn in that environment, which we consider to be sort of a lab or a ecosystem or a tech hub. I think that participating in those programs, participating in as many labs as you can, if it's not through an employer or if it's through a social lab of some sort, like a hackathon series where you can, advance your trade, that would be incredible. That's the first thing. And the second thing is shadowing. I don't think we do enough of that, right? That's going to help with diversity, being able to say, look, I'm going to perhaps allow someone to shadow how I do my job, someone that may not look exactly like me. And I think if we're open to those 2 things, participating more in lab environments where we can come together as a group and learn from each other, an ecosystem, so to speak, and being willing and able to shadow others that are performing or at the level in which you hope to, strive toward, that would be extremely helpful. That would be my advice.
Gold. It's gold. And I mean, I ask because I care. I ask because I'm curious, and I want to be the platform to amplify. And I've asked that before, but no one's gone down that path.
Absolutely.
And I think that kind of resonates to the crawl, walk, run. Everyone's like, I want a job. I want a job. How about you shadow? How about you do this? And then if you do that, there's different opportunities that are just going to happen, or things, or your interview skills might be better. I can get you the intro, but are you going to pass the code review? Are you going to get past second interview, third interview?
That's right.
All of these little steps are going to help you get to where you want to be. I think it's gold. I appreciate you sharing that with me. It's
my pleasure.
Yeah. So Carl, thanks for being on the show, my man. This is fun.
Hey, thank you, Darren. I loved it. Thank you.
Yes,
my pleasure.
And there are people we like to connect each other with. So if is there a sector? Is there a person, archetype? Who can I connect you with? Because again, there is still this isolation. Yeah. So this is a forced way to connect.
I would love to connect more with the public sector. I think that they have a lot to offer. And I think we, public sector being, government, federal government, being our Department of Defense institutions, there's a lot of brilliant work coming out of those areas that I think should be amplified, but also we should be connecting with the private sector a lot more. So building the bridge to the public sector would be really, really helpful.
I think there's a few we can help you with. So that's great.
Excellent.
And thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.